Okay, so here is a post-mortem for the game modification I did for this class. Start out with the things that went right. The thing that probably went the best is the Kismet system I implemented for all of the game behavior. This was largely successful due to the amazing tutorials on 3D Buzz. I implemented a lot of the systems that they had in there and modified a few things such as the bot behaviors, so that instead of moving between 2 points, they actually move around pretty freely throughout the level after they've spotted you. And I have also implemented a different system for winning. Instead of being able to go straight to the goal after you get the keys, you have to hit the door first, which becomes unlocked, and then you go through to the win system inside the saloon. I also managed to create a sound system and a few other things that worked out well. Assets imported fairly well, and all my code works. For the things that went wrong, I had there's an issue with Kismet. There's a lot of clicking, as you'll hear here in a few seconds in the background. It's because there's some action that's trying to be performed in Kismet that I'm not sure what it is. I'll have to figure out how to debug that at a later time. And then the biggest issue that stopped me up during this process was the character pipeline. As well, I did manage to get the character in there with custom animations and a custom skeleton I built with the 3ds Max cat system. There is still a lot of work left to be done before he can be called a fully realized character. So for one, as you can see during the gameplay here, when some of the enemies die, the physics assets applied to them kind of cause them to just warp and fly off everywhere. So there's a lot to be... I still have to learn for implementing that. And also, the Unreal characters have a lot more animations than what the tutorial I found used. So I'm going to have to tear apart that system and see exactly what animations they use and try to recreate it so I could have a better understanding as to how it all works together. Another somewhat smaller issue is, at the moment, I have to play the game in God mode because the bots are far too intelligent. They can shoot you from any distance as long as they're not obstructed and hit you with perfect accuracy. A few things I learned a lot more about Kismet and UI scenes and how to use those two together in order to create basic inventory systems and gameplay systems. I could already think of several ways that I'll be using UI systems to make games in the future. Also learned a thing or two that did not get implemented into the game, but I had to try out when I found them. I found a Bink video converter online. It was free. I don't know if it's meant to be free, so I'll have to look into that and make absolutely sure so that I'm covered in case I do have to actually buy the system. But it does work fine, and I could bring in full high quality video with audio into the game for cutscenes and other things similar to that. I also learned a whole lot more about the character pipeline and things I'm going to have to keep in mind for future projects. Things that I would do better next time would be to plan a much smaller and simpler level. That way I could focus more time on building up the game mechanics first. Because I could always go back and use those same game mechanics that I create and build new assets in a far more complex level after the gameplay works out. I'd also spend a lot more time on pre-production.